Okay guys, welcome to my channel Empire Models, and today we'll be talking about the theory aspect and the calculative aspect of the making of cutting of trouser pants and senator top. Okay, everything, the formula, the calculation involved, everything you need to know to cut trouser and senator top confidently. Okay, we are going to be sharing formulas, a very good one. Okay, it's going to be calculative and not as hard as you may be thinking. Okay, it's going to be a simple, and with mere understanding you will be able to decode everything we are going to talk about today. Calculation involved. Okay, before we go into calculation and other theory aspects of trouser, at first we are going to identify the parts. Okay, basically trouser has two patterns. Both the trouser and senator top have two patterns, the front pattern and the back pattern. And the front pattern is the pattern which we are going to use exactly what you get out of your calculation to cut, as in exactly, no addition, no subtraction. You're just going to use exactly whatever the figure you get after you must have applied your formulas and your measurements entirely. That is what you are going to use to draft your front pattern. And the back pattern is going to house the SS, to house all the SS that you will use, both your seam allowance and everything you need for the sewing. Okay, that's how your back pattern is going to be. Okay, having known that, what you need to measure on the body of a client, what you need to take from your client in order to get all the formulas, in order to apply the formulas to get everything you need for drafting of trouser. I would like you to get your pen and your piece of paper that you can jot things down, please, so that step by step I'm going to take you on a very deep step, because there are many other things in the situation where you forgot something. As time goes on, I will explain. Okay, basically what you need to measure from your client are these 1 2 3 4 5 6 things. Okay, which are the basic parts in your front pattern. Okay, it's also in your back pattern, but a little difference. Okay, what you have in your front pattern is exactly what you're going to have in your back pattern, just a little difference, one or two difference. Okay, this is waist. These are the trouser parts for your front pattern. This is the waistline, this is the hip, this is the thigh, this is the knee, this is the overall trouser length, and this is your ankle. Okay, these are what you need to measure on your client. Okay, the waist, hip, thigh, knee, length, and ankle. These are the basic things you need. Every other thing, if you actually want to measure, is good, but there are formulas you can use instead of going through the stress of measuring the person and all this stuff. There are things you can use. Most of the times, even measurement may not give you the accuracy that these formulas will give you. Okay, this is waistline, hip, thigh, knee, length, and ankle. Okay, basically the waist, I'm just going to write the formulas here. Okay, I'm just going to write the formulas. Sorry, I'm just going to write the formulas here. Waist is always divided by 4. I'm just going to clean here. Sorry, let me get my cleaner. I'm just going to clean this. Okay, and make another line. Okay, let me just squeeze it in here. Sorry for my small board, I'm just going to manage it for this. This is the ankle. I believe you can see it clearly. This is the ankle. So waist is always divided by 4. Hip, whatever you have as your waist, after you have done measuring the client, after you've measured whatever you get, let's assume waist 32, you always divide by 4. Same as the hip, divided by 4. Sorry, divided by 4. The trouser tie, divided by 2. Divided by 2. Every other thing after waist and hip, divided by 4. Every other thing here will be divided by 2. This also divided by 2. This also plus 2. Sorry, in the overall trouser length, you are going to add 2 for the hemming allowance, plus 2. This ankle divided by 2. Okay, this is just the basic formula in drafting of your trouser front pattern. Okay, waist by 4, hip by 4, thigh by 2, knee by 2, overall trouser length plus 2, ankle divided by 2. Okay, this is just the main formula you need. Okay, let's assume, okay, let's put this formula into work. Let's assume we have someone of waist. I hope you have this at your mind, because I'm just going to clean it because I don't have much space. I'm just going to clean it. Let's assume we have a client, and our client is having waist um 34. Sorry, and our client is having waist 34. What's wrong with this marker? 34, and hip 38. Let's assume hip 38, and is having like thigh 23. Okay, knee 16, and we have overall trouser length 38, and his ankle is 13. Okay, this is a basic measurement now. Waist 34, hip 38. Let's just use 40. Let's just use 40 to make it more easier in calculation. Okay, hip 30, hip 40, thigh 23, knee 16, overall trouser length at 8, ankle 13. So when you divide this waist by 4, this divided by 4, remember our formula is waist by 4, hip by 4, thigh 2, knee 2, overall trouser length plus 2, ankle divided by 2. Okay, by the time you divide 34 by 2, okay, you can use your tape as a means of division. Let me just show you how you can use your tape to divide. Maybe you must have known, but we just have to do it. This is 34. You first of all get 34. Sorry, yeah, 34, yeah. 34, which is our waist. When you get your 34, you place 1 at that 34 and take it to this end. Okay, take it to the end. You're just going to have the figure which is supposed to be your divide, as in this is by 2. Exactly by 2. Whatever you get here, which is 17. 17 divided by 2. Okay, without, or you can still make use of your calculator or whatever you have available. Okay, so 17 divided by 2 is going to give us 8.5. So this waistline is going to be 8.5. Whatever we have divided by 4 equal to 8.5. 8.5. Okay, hip 40 divided by 4 is going to give us 10. Thigh divided by 2 is going to give us 11.5. Knee divided by 2 is going to give us 8. 16 divided by 2. Overall trouser length plus 2. My marker is having a little issue. Overall trouser length plus 2 is going to give you 40. Okay. Ankle divided by 2 is going to give you 13 divided by 2 is going to give you 6.5. Okay. This is just whatever that is here, you've gotten. This is a figure that you're going to use to draft your front pattern. No addition, no subtraction. Some people will say, yeah, sometimes you do need to add half an inch in this waistline, but if you don't add, it's not going to cause any problem. Okay, what you want to add is just to make it, take it to the nearest whole number, which is 9. But if you still make use of your 8.5, there won't be any problem. Okay, remember here was 8. So exactly this figure you have here is what you will use in drafting your front pattern. Exactly what you have here is what you're going to use in drafting your front pattern. Okay, this is just the basic formula. On the day of the practical, after this, the next video we are going to talk about the practical. Okay, just hang on and watch. Okay, on the day of the practical, I'm going to make use of exactly this measurement or any other measurement at hand with this formula, and whatever I get here is what I'm going to use to draft the front pattern. No addition, no subtraction. Okay, this is all you need for basic trouser cutting. Waist 4, hip 4, thigh 2, knee 2, overall trouser length plus 2, ankle divided by 2. Now, ankle divided by 2, this 2, remember I said this for hemming allowance. At the trouser bottom line, there is always extra 2 inches for the hemming allowance, because you're not going to fold out of the overall trouser length. It will shorten the person's trouser, your client trouser. Okay, this is just all you need for the trouser. Okay, but now, the situation whereby, let's assume you forgot about your client's measurement, like these two, which is the most important thing, this thigh and this hip. Okay, waist is also important, but I just have the formula for this. These two, maybe you forgot about measuring this person hip, or you forgot about measuring the thigh, or you measured it but you are not sure, or someone sent you the measurement and you are being skeptic about the measurement. That is also a formula. But before I introduce that formula, in your trouser, the space between the waistline and the point where you get your thigh, which at the middle you have your hip. I don't know if you understand. On the day of the practical, I'm still going to point out the location of all these things I'm saying. The space between your waistline and your thigh is called crotch. That's the place that will house the zip and also your hip location. It's called a crotch. And the question is, how are you going to know the figure? There is no guesswork. Some people will say if the person is tall, use it. There is no guesswork. Whatever you have here, okay, sorry, whatever you have at the hip, whatever you have at the hip 40 divided by 4 is exactly what you are going to use as a crotch. Okay, but in the case whereby this hip now divided by 4 equal to 10 is also affected by the person, your client's height. As you can see, we have length at 8. That means this person is of height, average height. So you can make use of this 10. It will be very, very okay. But in a situation whereby the person have a very big hip, but is having trouser length 36, 35, or 34, somebody who is not that tall, you're not going to make use of exactly this 10. Okay, no, no, no. Let me come again. In the case whereby this person, let's say he has hip, a very big hip, let's say hip 48. There are clients have idea of make room for some clients that have this kind of measurement. They have up to hip 48, okay, and their trouser length is around 35, 34. Okay, if this hip is 48, 48 divided by 4 will be giving you 48 by 2 is 24, 24 by 2 is 12, will be giving you 12. And if you make use of that 12 for somebody of trouser length 34 or 35, you want to have an SS crotch. So what you do in the situation whereby the client is having a bigger hip and a smaller length, you're just going to remove 1 inch or half an inch, as the case may be, if depending on the length and the size of the person. I just talked about 48, and the person's trouser length is 34. I'm just going to remove 1 inch from that 12, which is 11. That is what I'm going to use for my crotch. Okay, but in the situation whereby this person is slim and very tall, let's assume the person is having hip 36, okay, hip 36, and is having trouser length 43, 44. Okay, if you divide hip 36 divided by 4 will be giving you 9. And for a kind of that kind of height, if you make use of 9, it's not going to be bad. It's not that the trouser will fit. The trouser will fit very well, but the problem is the crotch, because of the person's height, will look very small. So as a fashion designer, what you need to do is to add up, because once the person looks down on the trouser, he will feel like the crotch is too short, or it's not allowing him to throw his leg or something like that. So all you need to do is just add 1 inch or half an inch, as the case may be. The person's length, trouser length, determines what you're going to add after you are done calculating the hip. Okay, this is just the basic thing. I don't know, you can just play the video again to understand what I'm saying. I'm trying not to make it a long video. Okay, so this is all you need to know about this crotch, what you need to know about the hip, using it as a crutch, and the effects of the person's height on the hip measurement. So without wasting time, sorry, I'm just going to clean because there is no more space here. I believe I have done justice to all these. Okay, there is nothing I need to talk about again, because that is all. Okay, so I'm just going to clean. I'm just going to clean. So like I said, hip, in a situation whereby you forgot about the person's hip, your client's hip, okay, and you really need the hip, there is a formula you can use to attain that hip without actually measuring the person. And but a quick one, if a client is close, if it's somebody you can actually go and meet to his house or to his residence, you can actually go and meet the person and update your measurement. There is no big deal on that. But when there is no other solution, maybe the person is very far, there is no how you can get the accurate measurement, or you don't trust the person who is measuring that person, there is a formula you will use. But why I like this formula is because instead of giving you something less, it's going to give you something more. Okay, instead of giving you a figure that will be smaller than the person's measurement, it's going to give you something excess. And philosophy in sewing is better it is too big than to be too small, because when it is too big, you can actually bring it back to the measurement, and when it is too small, and there is no allowance, you may end up having a spoiled cloth. So for the lap, in a situation where the time measurement is not correct or was not measured, this formula can be handy. Hip, okay, and you already have your hip measurement. Let's assume, let me work with that hip 40. Look at it, the formula is this: hip, okay, hip divided by 4 plus 2 times 2 plus 2 times 2. Okay, all right, hip divided by 4 plus 2 times 2 is going to give you your lab. In case the lab is not correct, that is a tie, it's not correct. Okay, this formula is you're going to arrive at the lab closer to the person's lab. A quick one again, you cannot use formula to predict human body. Human body can take any shape they like. Why I'm giving this formula? Because it can be handy in many ways. Okay, let's assume now we have hip. Okay, initial measurement I have is hip 40. Let's assume 40 divided by 4 times, sorry, plus, sorry, 40 divided by 4. Let me come again. Let's assume we have hip 40. 40 divided by 4 plus 2 times 2. Now, 40 divided by 4 will give you 10. Okay, 10 plus 2 will give you 12. Okay, 40 divided by 4 will give you 10. 10 plus 2 will give you 12. Okay, let's just write this down. 12, sorry, my God, 12, okay, times 2. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Okay, let me break it down one after the other. 40 divided by 4 equal to 10. 10 plus 2 equal to 12. Okay, 12, okay, this 12 times 2 equal to 24. Remember, what I had in the measurement earlier was 23. Like I said, it's either I give you exactly the figure you need or it will give you something a little bit bigger than the actual measurement you have. As you can see here now, we arrived at 24. Okay, when the hip is 40. This formula can be very handy. You have to jot it down or you have to replay the video. It's very handy because it will help you a lot. You know, oftentimes somebody like me, it feels like I'm not, it feels like you're not a serious fashion designer when you have to go over and over again calling the client. You know, there are often times that you are too occupied that you forgot during the measurement, you skipped some things. Okay, it happens. We are human beings, we are not machine. Even machines do make mistakes. Okay, so this formula can be very handy in the case of lab, forgotten lab. Let's just use let me use X. Sorry, let me use X. Forgotten lab. Oh God, forgotten lab. X lab. X tie, okay, lap or tie, whatever you say, you call it in your way. X lap, that is forgotten lap. This is the formula you need. Hip divided by 4 plus 2 times 2. Hip divided by 4 plus 2 times 2, okay? It will give you something exactly or something a little bit more than your measurement. Okay, in the case of hip, still the vice versa. In the case of hip, forgotten hip, okay? I'm just gonna clean now. Okay, what if you don't have your hip measurement but you have your lap? You can ask as well use your lap to obtain your hip. Like I said earlier, what we calculated here was lap 24. Let's not say, okay, this is the formula, sorry, the formula x hip. I'm just gonna change this to hip. X hip. Okay, this is the formula you need for forgotten hip. Okay, forgotten hip is this hip um okay, forgotten hip is lap. Sorry, I wrote it down so I can read. I can now, it's a little bit hard for me to memorize. Lab divided by 2, okay, minus 2, okay, times 4. I'm not a mathematician, actually. Some people will be like, oh, this is too much. I'm not a mathematician. I don't even like maths. But for this, as long as it's something that can be valuable to me, I actually wrote it down. The day I decode this, it took me time for me to get these formulas out. Okay, I wrote them down so that I can be making use of them. So it's very, very important if you can jot it down somewhere. Okay, lab divided by 2 minus 2 times 4. Okay, let's use the lab we had there, see if we can arrive at 40. We had there lab 24. What's wrong with this marker? We had there lab 24, okay, divided by 2 minus 2 times 4. Okay, when you divide 24 by 2, it will give you 12. 12 minus 2, let's say 12 minus 2 is equal to 10. 10 times 4 is equal to what? 10 times 4 is equal to 40, which is your lab. This is very, very, very easy. It's as easy as whatever. Okay, if you follow this step by step, like, you will feel like already you are a mathematician, you feel like being a mathematician, okay, it's very easy. It's very, very easy. Okay, I think that's all about trouser. Okay, the formula. As time goes on, if I still decode any formula you can use when you've forgotten, maybe you are not sure of the waist, but I don't think, but it can be possible. Everything is possible actually. It can be possible. If there is any formula I can decode, you can use for the waistline when you've forgotten your waist, I'll still bring it up. But as for now, I don't think there is any. You just have to measure the person. Like I said earlier, there is nothing as good as making use of your tape and and not to these formulas. But when the words come to us, maybe there is no other alternative. There's no other thing for you to do. That's when you have to make use of these formulas. Okay. All right. That is all about the trouser. Okay. During the practical, I'm gonna show the other parts of the trouser. Like we have the inseam, the side seam, and every other thing in the trouser during the practical. I won't be able to try to sketch trouser here will be a hard one, so I just have to leave it. During the practical, I will talk about this. Okay. All right. Without wasting time, I would like to go to top, which is the main subject of the topic of the day. The top. This is just like basic something. The top is where we have a lot of things because I was talking to my co-designer one day. He was like, I know how to make trouser very well, but I don't know how to make top very well. I'm like, what are you talking about? What do people look at? It's your top. What advertises you is most of the time your top. Yeah, I know there are people who make trousers alone, but as far as fashion is concerned, what people do look at most, what draws the first attraction is the top. Okay, and if you don't know the codes and in and out about the drafting of top, it's kind of sometimes it's frustrating. Okay, and it's not everything that has sleeve and like this that you call top. Okay, there are things you need to know in between the lines for you to make a very, very nice top fitting. And I want to say something before I go into the top. The issue of fitting a fitting cloth. Many people say fitting cloth is when you have to make it tight. That is what people feel about fitting cloth is until it is tight. That's what they mean by fitting. No, clothes can be very much free on you and still looks fitting. Only if you know the areas that you need to work on to fit it well. Only if you know what you need to do. Okay. I'm gonna share those things now, and if you follow through, you'll get all you need about top, and I believe you will cut up like a pro. If you're already a tailor, pay attention. You'll get something from here. If you are new to this, please pay attention. Jot something down. I'm begging you. If what I'm sharing to you here is helpful, please hit the notification bell, subscribe to my channel, and give us a like. That's how we can go. Okay. Very as time goes on, we'll share more things. We'll have a lot of things, a lot of videos already on things we need to know as a fashion designer. Thank you. Let's go back to the top. Okay. I'm just gonna clean. I believe by now you are done with the write-up. Okay. Now we are talking about top. Before we go into the calculations and the formulas needed, just like we said about trouser, there are two basic patterns in top: the front and the back pattern. But in the case of top, okay, the back and the front pattern are equal in size but not in length. Let me come again. You know, in the trouser, the front and the back pattern, the front pattern is small in size and the back pattern is wide in length and also longer, sorry, wide in width and also longer in length. But in the case of top, they are equal in size but differs in length. The back pattern is always longer than the front pattern because of what we call overlapping. I'm still going to explain what we mean by overlapping. Okay, without wasting time, let's just talk about it. Okay, the top, we have shoulder line, we have your chest line, we have your waistline, which some people say belly, we have the slit point and the overall top length. Okay, apart from these three things, we have the crotch. Sorry, in the case of a trouser it's called crotch. In the case of top, it's called armhole. Armhole, where your sleeve is situated. Okay, the position of your sleeve is called armhole. Okay, and your armhole, I'm still going to talk about how you're going to drive at your armhole. So I will just list it. We have the shoulder line. I'm just going to use SH for the shoulder line. Okay, I'm going to use CH for the chest line. I'm going to use waistline, WL for the waistline. I'm going to use TL as a top length. I'm going to use LNT as overall. Okay, sorry, we already have top length. Okay, these are the basic thing you need for the top. Okay, there are other things to measure. Sleeve. I'm going to talk about the sleeves. The sleeve is another topic because we need to understand the sleeve. Sleeve plays the cutting and drafting of the drafting and the sewing of sleeve plays a lot of significant sorry, a lot of roles in your top. Okay, if the sleeve is strong, you may spoil the whole process. Okay, I'm just going to leave it for another video entirely. We are going to talk about that sleeve. But for now, but for your measurement, you measure shoulder, chest, waistline, top length, sleeve, round sleeve, cuff. Okay, just want to take all those measurements and the neck. These are the measurements you need. You may want to write them down. The shoulder, chest, waistline, top length, sleeve, round sleeve, cuff, neck. Just have these measurements. These are the things you need to measure on the body of the client. But for the top, these are the major things you need for calculation. For calculation, just like in the trouser, there are formula. Here there is also a formula, but here have I'm gonna review deeper formulas in them. Shoulder, basically, shoulder is divided by 2.